You've done everything right. You visualized. You repeated your affirmations in the mirror with the kind of seriousness that deserves an Emmy. You practiced gratitude, wrote in your journal, burned the right candle, played the 432 Hz playlist on your AirPods, and yet, when you look at your actual life, the thing you want most still feels like it's on the other side of the glass, close enough to be infuriating, far enough to be exhausting, and then comes that sneaky little voice that whispers, maybe it's just not meant for me. But what if that voice has the wrong diagnosis, but the right address? Because the problem isn't the universe, it's not the technique, and it's definitely not your lack of faith. The problem is inside you, just in a place you haven't learned to look yet. Here's a statement that goes against everything the manifestation world typically preaches. You're not failing to manifest because you don't believe enough. You're failing because a part of you believes too much. In the wrong version of yourself, there is a silent conflict happening inside you right now, while you watch this video. A conflict between who you consciously want to be and who your internal system thinks you are. And that conflict, invisible, quiet, operating in the shadows of your mind, is the single greatest enemy of your manifestation. It has a name, a shape, an address, and in the next few minutes, you're going to realize you've met it before. Probably this morning before you even got out of bed when you felt that familiar weight settle in. There's a fundamental mistake almost everyone makes when talking about manifestation, and it starts with the word ask. The idea that you send a request to the universe like some kind of cosmic DoorDash order and wait for delivery at your front door. But the quantum field doesn't work that way. It doesn't read your words. It doesn't interpret your affirmations. It is not impressed by your gratitude journal, no matter how aesthetic it looks on Instagram. What the quantum field reads all the time without exception is your state. And state isn't what you say. It's what you are, at the deepest, most honest, most visceral level of your being. Dr. Joe Dispenza, one of the most serious researchers at the intersection of neuroscience and consciousness, describes this with surgical clarity. The field responds to coherence between thought and emotion, not to the intensity of desire, but to the quality of the signal you emit. And this is where everything changes. The HeartMath Institute, an independent research center that has spent over 30 years studying heart intelligence, demonstrated something that should be in every personal development program in the country. The human heart generates an electromagnetic field that extends several feet beyond the physical body, and that field shifts dramatically depending on the emotional state of the person emitting it. When you're in coherence, when thought, emotion, and intention point in the same direction, that field becomes organized, powerful, expansive. But when there's internal conflict, when one part of you wants something and another part fears that very same thing, the signal you emit to the field becomes incoherent. Imagine two radio stations broadcasting on the same frequency at the same time. What does the receiver pick up? Noise, static. That's exactly what the universe gets when you affirm abundance in the morning and feel scarcity at night. It's not that the universe ignores your request, it's that it receives all of your requests simultaneously, and the strongest, oldest, most deeply rooted signal wins. And that signal, more often than not, isn't the one you chose consciously. It was programmed into you long before you were old enough to question any of it. And that is exactly where the invisible enemy lives, in a specific mechanism that neuroscience has already mapped in remarkable detail. So let's dissect this enemy. Let's put it on the operating table and understand exactly how it works, because you can't defeat what you don't understand. The inner conflict that blocks manifestation is not a character flaw, it's not a lack of discipline, it's not bad karma or low vibrations. It is architecture. It was built layer by layer over the years by a nervous system that was doing the absolute best it could to keep you alive and safe. And it operates on 3 distinct layers, each one deeper than the last. The first layer is what neuroscientists call the subcortical loop. Cell biologist Bruce Lipton, a world-renowned reference in behavioral epigenetics, explains that between birth and age 7, the human brain operates predominantly in theta waves, the same hypnotic state used in mental reprogramming sessions. This means that everything you lived through, heard, and absorbed during that period was recorded directly into your subconscious, without a filter, without critical analysis, without your consent. If you heard money doesn't grow on trees, people like us don't make it that far, or don't get too big for your britches, that file is running inside you right now, in the background, like an invisible operating system you never asked to install, but that drives a large portion of your decisions to this day. The second layer is even more fascinating and far more treacherous. It's what neuroscience calls the network war. Inside your brain, there's a network called the default mode network. The default mode, responsible for your internal narrative, your identity, the story you tell yourself about who you are. And there's another network called the salience network that decides what is real, what is possible, what deserves attention. When these two networks conflict, when your narrative identity says I am abundant but your salience network registers this doesn't feel real to me, the brain creates a kind of internal short circuit. And who almost always loses that tug of war? Conscious intention. But the third layer is the one fewest people know about, and it may be the most powerful of all. The body as archive. Neuroscientist and psychiatrist Daniel Siegel, alongside researcher Pat Ogden, demonstrated that unprocessed emotions don't disappear. They settle into the body. An old rejection becomes tightness in the chest. An undigested humiliation becomes constriction in the throat. An inherited fear becomes heaviness in the shoulders. And that body, carrying all those stored somatic memories, constantly transmits a signal to the quantum field that says, "Careful, the world isn't safe." So when you try to manifest something big with affirmations, while your body still carries the memory of a time when being big was dangerous, you are literally trying to floor the gas pedal with the parking brake on. It's not lack of effort. It's a conflict of architecture. And that can be changed, just not with the tools most people are using. And I'm going to show you exactly why. Now that you know the architecture of the conflict, it's time to put a face on this enemy. Because it doesn't always show up the same way. It's versatile, adaptable, and has a frightening ability to disguise itself as something normal, as rational thinking, as common sense, as humility even. And that's exactly why most people spend years, sometimes their entire lives, without recognizing it. So let's introduce the four most common faces of this invisible enemy. And as you hear each one, pay attention to what happens in your body, because one of them is going to press a very specific spot. It might be in your chest. It might be that familiar knot in your stomach. That tightness is information, and it's exactly what we need to talk about. The first face is the fossilized identity, and it speaks in a very familiar voice. It's the voice that says, "I'm just not the kind of person who makes a lot of money." Or, "Healthy relationships just aren't in the cards for me." Or, "I've always been this way." Notice the subtle cruelty of this belief. It doesn't deny your desire. It denies your right to the desire. It turns a past experience into a permanent identity sentence. And the quantum problem here is precise. If you don't see yourself being what you want to manifest, the field doesn't receive an attraction signal. It receives a distance signal. You keep wanting from the outside, never inhabiting the internal state of the person who already has it. It's like standing on the sidewalk staring through a restaurant window, hungry, but convinced the place just isn't for you. The second face is the quietest and perhaps the most powerful of all: unconscious loyalty. Philosopher and therapist Bert Hellinger, creator of family constellations, mapped something that will genuinely give you chills. There are beliefs, patterns, and destinies transmitted from generation to generation within a family system. Not through DNA, but through the morphic field, a concept developed by biologist Rupert Sheldrake. This means the financial ceiling you can't seem to break through may not even be yours. It could belong to a grandfather who believed wealth was sinful. The relationship patterns that keep repeating might echo a dynamic from your mother's life, or her mother's. And unconscious loyalty enters here in a devastating way. Deep down, a part of you believes that thriving beyond what your family achieved is a betrayal, that being happy when others in your lineage suffered is disloyal. So you self-sabotage, not out of weakness, but out of love. A blind, unspoken love that needs to be seen in order to be released. The third face is fear disguised as practicality. And this one is the smartest of all, because it uses your own rationality against you. It doesn't show up saying, "I'm scared." It shows up saying, be realistic. It shows up saying the timing isn't right. It shows up saying, you need more experience before you try. And the ego, a master of survival, dresses fear in the clothes of wisdom, so you never question it. Think of a concrete situation. You have a business idea that lights you up inside. And then it starts, but the market is tough right now, but I don't have enough experience, but what if it doesn't work out? That's not practicality. That's your nervous system in protection mode, using the language of the rational adult to keep you inside the comfort zone it knows. The energetic signature of this pattern is very specific. You feel stuck, but justified. Paralyzed, but with good reasons. And that combination is especially dangerous because it removes the urgency to change. The fourth and final phase is quantum ambivalence. And from the perspective of field physics, it's the most destructive of all. It's when you want and fear the same outcome at the same time. You want success, but you're afraid of what people will think of you if you change. You want love, but you're terrified of being vulnerable again. You want financial freedom, but you're afraid of losing the identity of someone who grinds and hustles, because that identity, as painful as it is at least familiar. The quantum field, faced with a signal that ambivalent, doesn't pick a side. It freezes, it oscillates, and you stay trapped in a loop of almost manifestation, that frustrating state where things get close, but never fully land. Now, a question for you watching right now. Which of these four faces hit closest to home? Drop it in the comments, just the number or the name of the face. That simple act of naming it is already the beginning of the unblocking, because what has no name cannot be transformed. Here's a truth that goes against almost everything the personal development industry sells. Understanding your problem does not solve your problem. And if you've been in therapy for years, read dozens of self-help books, watched hundreds of videos like this one, and still keep repeating the same patterns, that sentence just explained why. There's a very seductive illusion the self-awareness world has created, which is the idea that the insight, that oh wow, now I get it moment, is the turning point. That recognizing the root of the problem is already half the solution. But neuroscience tells a completely different story. Your prefrontal cortex, the most evolved part of your brain responsible for reasoning, analysis, and understanding, can perfectly comprehend that a pattern is self-destructive, while your limbic system, your brainstem, your entire body, keeps running the old program as if nothing happened. It's like discovering your computer has a virus, understanding exactly how it works, writing a detailed report about it, and never installing the antivirus. The virus is still there, still running, still sabotaging, completely independent of how well you understand it. Psychiatrist and neuroscientist Daniel Siegel developed a concept called the window of tolerance, and it is the key that most manifestation approaches completely ignore. The idea is simple and powerful. Human beings can only integrate new experiences, only create new neural patterns, when the nervous system is within a specific window of regulation. Not too activated, anxious, wired, in threat mode. Not too shut down, numb, dissociated, checked out. Within that window, the brain is receptive, plastic, capable of rewriting itself. Outside of it, no matter how many affirmations you repeat or how vividly you visualize, you're trying to plant seeds in concrete. And here is the concept that sits at the heart of everything on this channel: quantum identity coherence. Real transformation, the kind that actually changes the signal you emit to the field, doesn't happen when you understand a new version of yourself. It happens when you embody that version. When it stops being an idea in the cortex and becomes a felt reality in the body. When your nervous system stops treating the new state as a threat and starts treating it as home. That is radically different from repeating affirmations in the mirror. That is real reprogramming. And it requires a specific protocol that goes far beyond insight. A protocol that begins with a step that feels completely counterintuitive to anyone who's used to fighting their own blocks. Now it's time for what actually matters, because knowledge without application is just sophisticated entertainment. And this channel wasn't built for that. Everything constructed so far, the science of the field, the anatomy of conflict, the four faces of the enemy, all converges now into a concrete energetic unblocking protocol. 4 steps, each one with a specific function within the process of real reprogramming. And that counterintuitive step promised in the last topic? It's right here in step 1. And once you understand why, it will make complete sense. The fundamental principle guiding this entire protocol is simple. You cannot resolve at the mental level what was created at the somatic level. You cannot think your way out of a pattern that was felt your way into. So the protocol begins exactly where most approaches end, in the body. Step 1, somatic tracking. Locate the conflict in the body, not the mind. Here's the counterintuitive move. Instead of trying to understand the block, you're going to feel it. Pick a desire that feels stuck in your life, something you want but that isn't moving. Now close your eyes for a moment and ask yourself, when I imagine fully having this, what happens in my body? Not what you think, what you physically feel. Is there tightness in your chest? A knot in your stomach? Tension across your shoulders? That physical sensation is the inner conflict in the form of biological data. It's your body showing you exactly where the program is installed. Don't try to analyze it. Don't try to fix it. Just locate it. Breathe toward that sensation with curiosity, not resistance. That simple act of tracking already begins to create what neuroscientists call an integration window, the state where the nervous system starts processing what had been frozen. Most people do the opposite. They try to mentally escape the discomfort, but avoiding is filing away. Feeling with presence is processing, and processing is the beginning of dissolution. Step 2, belief archaeology. Find the root, not the leaf. Once you've located the sensation in the body, it's time to trace where it came from, but in a very specific way. This is not about slapping a superficial affirmation like, I deserve good things, on top of a scarcity belief. This is about finding the root belief, that original sentence, usually formed in childhood, that is generating all the others. The technique is a cascade of questions. Start from the stuck desire and ask, what do I believe would happen if I actually had this? Write down the answer, whatever it is, without judgment. Then ask again, and what does that belief say about who I am? And one more time, where did this idea come from? When did I first learn this? You'll find that most root beliefs are between 4 and 12 years old. They come with a voice, sometimes yours, sometimes a parent's, a teacher's, a coach's. When you find the root belief, something very specific happens. It loses power. Not because you understood it intellectually, but because you saw that it was learned. And everything that was learned can be rewritten. Step 3, quantum identity. Rewriting. Create a narrative your nervous system will actually accept. This is where most reprogramming approaches fail, because they try to install a new belief that is simply too big for the nervous system to buy into. If you carry decades of scarcity and try to affirm I am a millionaire, your brain literally rejects the signal. It detects the incoherence and produces the opposite of the intended effect. Quantum identity rewriting works differently. You create a transition narrative, true enough for the nervous system to accept, expansive enough to open a new horizon of possibility. Instead of I am a millionaire, try, I'm learning to relate to abundance in a way that genuinely makes sense for me. Instead of I have the perfect relationship, try, I'm becoming the kind of person who can give and receive love in a healthy way. Notice the difference. It's not about lying to yourself, it's about creating a neurally viable bridge between who you are now and who you're becoming. That bridge, repeated consistently and felt in the body, literally begins to reshape neural connections, a process that neuroplasticity confirms is possible at any age, at any stage of life. Step 4, state anchoring. Seal the new identity into the field. The final step is where neuroscience meets quantum mechanics most directly. Creating a new identity narrative means nothing if it isn't anchored in a coherent body state, because it's the state, as established at the beginning of this video, that the field actually reads. The most powerful tool for this anchoring is the combination of coherent breathing and anticipatory gratitude. Coherent breathing, 5 seconds inhale, 5 seconds exhale, is one of the most scientifically validated techniques for inducing heart coherence, that synchronization state between heart, brain, and nervous system that the HeartMath Institute has extensively mapped. Do this for 3 to 5 minutes until you feel the body settle. Then in that state of coherence, bring the feeling, not the image, the feeling, of already being the version of you who is living what you want to manifest. How does that body feel? How does that person breathe? How do they move through the world? Inhabit that state for a few minutes with full intention. This is what Joe Dispenza calls being the cause, not the effect. And it is the cleanest, most powerful, most coherent signal you can send to the quantum field. Practice this complete protocol daily for 21 days and watch what begins to move in your life. Not because it's magic, but because you finally stopped transmitting static and started broadcasting a clear signal. And speaking of signals, there's an even deeper layer to all of this. One that fewer people talk about, perhaps because it requires a degree of radical honesty that not everyone is ready for. It has to do with the role of synchronicity in your life, but not as a sign that the universe is supporting you, as direct feedback from your own internal field. And when you understand this, the way you read reality changes forever. Carl Gustav Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist who coined the term synchronicity, wasn't talking about pretty coincidences. He was describing something far more precise and far more unsettling. The existence of an ordering intelligence that connects external events to the internal reality of the person experiencing them, not through causality, but through meaning. In other words, Jung was saying that the outer world and the inner world are not two separate systems that occasionally intersect. They are one single field, and what shows up out there is, at some deep level, a reflection of what is happening in here. Now add to that what quantum physics describes as non-locality, the ability of entangled particles to influence each other instantaneously, regardless of distance, and Rupert Sheldrake's morphogenetic field, which proposes that patterns of behavior and information propagate through invisible fields connecting similar systems. What emerges from that convergence is an idea that will completely reshape the way you read your life. Synchronicity is not the universe sending you a thumbs up. Synchronicity is the universe handing you a mirror of your own internal coherent state. And that changes everything, especially when the patterns repeating in your life aren't pretty ones. Think about the loops that show up in your life with a regularity that's gone way past coincidence. You always get close to an opportunity and something falls apart at the last minute. Relationships start differently but always end the same way. Money comes in, but slips through your fingers regardless of the amount. You change cities, change jobs, change partners, and the same problems show up wearing different faces. The conventional read would say you have bad luck. The quantum read says something completely different. These patterns are field imprints. They are your internal system's morphic field, manifesting an external reality with striking fidelity. Negative synchronicity, those frustrating loops that seem to follow you around, isn't punishment. It's diagnosis. It's the field showing you, with a precision no therapist can match, exactly which inner conflict is still unresolved. And here is the concrete practice that turns this understanding into a real tool: field reading. Every time a pattern repeats in your life, a situation that's happened before, an emotion that always shows up in the same context, a door that always closes at the same moment, instead of reacting, ask, what is this pattern telling me about the signal I'm emitting? Not as self-punishment, not as another reason to feel blocked, but as data, as information, as precise feedback from a system that is, at all times, trying to show you where incoherence still lives. And when you start using synchronicity as an internal calibration compass, instead of only celebrating it when things go well, you stop being a victim of patterns and start being the scientist of your own consciousness. You stop asking, when is the universe going to come through for me? And start asking, what is the universe already showing me? That is the shift. And it's exactly with that shift that we're going to close this out, in a way that will stay with you long after this video ends. We've arrived at the point where everything converges. And before we close, it's worth looking back for just a second, not to recap, but to feel the weight of what's been covered. You started this video believing perhaps that the problem with your manifestation was a missing technique, a frequency that needed adjusting, a ritual you hadn't tried yet. And now you know that the quantum field doesn't receive requests, it reads states. That inner conflict isn't a character flaw, it's architecture built layer by a system that was trying to protect you. That the invisible enemy has 4 faces, and at least one of them you recognized in yourself today. That insight without somatic integration transforms nothing. that there is a concrete protocol for dissolving these conflicts at the root, and that the synchronicity showing up in your life, especially the kind that hurts, isn't fate hunting you down. It's the field handing you the most honest mirror that exists. All of that points to one single conclusion, and it is simpler and deeper than any technique you've ever learned. Manifestation is not a process of attracting. It is a process of becoming. The universe is not waiting for you to nail the visualization. It's not holding out for the perfect affirmation or the ideal vibrational state before releasing what you desire. The universe is, at every moment, responding with absolute precision to what you are, not to what you want, not to what you ask for, but to the coherent totality of your being. And that is why identity is the portal, not the identity you declare out loud, the identity your nervous system quietly inhabits, the one your body carries while you sleep, the one pulsing in your field even when you're not thinking about manifestation at all. The invisible enemy revealed today was never your adversary. It was the guardian of an older version of you, a version that served its purpose, that protected you when protection was needed, that kept you inside the familiar when the unknown felt too dangerous. But you don't need that protection in the same way anymore. You have the tools, you have the map, and now you have the question that will carry you far beyond this video. The question that, asked with radical honesty every single day, has the power to reorient your entire field. Which version of you is transmitting right now, and which version is the universe receiving? That's not a rhetorical question. It's a practice. It's a consciousness protocol you can apply right now. Before you leave this video, before you go to sleep tonight, before you make any important decision, feel, track, ask. And if the answer isn't the version of you that you want to be, you now know exactly what to do with that. Because this content wasn't created to impress you, it was created to transform you. And if something here genuinely landed, if one of those 4 faces hit in a way that stung a little, if the unblocking protocol lit something up that felt dormant, then this video did exactly what it came to do. And look, being real with you here matters. Creating content at this level of depth with this density of real, actionable information takes serious work. And the only way to know that work was worth it is to know it reached you. So if it did, if you're leaving this video different than you came in, hitting that like button is the simplest, most powerful way to say, I received it, I got it, I want more. And if you're not subscribed to Quantum Genesis yet, right now is the moment. Because what you experienced today is just the beginning of a journey that gets deeper, more precise, and more transformative with every single video. The quantum identity you are building deserves a consistent source of information that actually respects your intelligence. This channel was created to be exactly that. Welcome, or welcome back.